Hello and welcome. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next hour, India and Australia to hold second India-Australia 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue and the 14th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue in New Delhi to further strengthen their comprehensive strategic partnership. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Uttarakhand's Chief Minister about the tunnel rescue operations, assures availability of all resources to rescue the 41 trapped workers. The International Film Festival of India is all set to roll out in Goa today with a star-studded lineup for the inaugural film screening, followed by the red carpet and opening ceremony. And Argentina elects a right-wing Javier Milei as its new president to reshape the political and economic roadmap of the country in dire straits. Defence ministers of India and Australia will join the country's foreign ministers in the second India-Australia 2+2 Defence and Foreign Ministerial Dialogue in New Delhi on Monday. The ministers are expected to discuss a wide range of strategic, defence and security issues.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will meet their Australian counterparts for the second India-Australia 2+2 Defence plus Foreign Ministerial Dialogue in New Delhi on Monday. Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister of Australia Richard Marles and Foreign Minister Penny Wong will be representing the Australian side. India and Australia share a comprehensive strategic partnership. A mutual logistics support agreement was signed in 2020. Australia and India support a rules-based international order. They seek to forge regional institutions in the Indo-Pacific which are inclusive and promote economic integration. The Quad is an example of shared interest. The two countries also participate in joint military exercises. Apart from Quad, the two countries are members of the Commonwealth, Indian Ocean Rim Association, ASEAN Regional Forum, Asia-Pacific Partnership on Climate and Clean Development, and East Asia Summit. Both countries are also members of the 5 interested parties in the World Trade Organization context. The Economic Cooperation Trade Agreement, ECTA, was the first free trade agreement signed by India with a developed country. It came into force in December 2022. India and Australia are partners in a trilateral agreement along with Japan to enhance the resilience of supply chains. There is also significant cooperation in the education sector. 2 universities of Australia have campuses in India. More than 1 lakh Indian students study in Australia. Apart from the 2+2 dialogue, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold a bilateral meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister Marles. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and Foreign Minister Wong will also hold a bilateral meeting under the 14th Foreign Ministerial Framework Dialogue, that's on the 21st of November. Stronger people-to-people ties are growing naturally, given the growing Indian diaspora in Australia. The two countries are aiming for a broad and multifaceted bilateral relationship. The countries, which are cricket-loving nations and share a formidable sporting rivalry, elevated their relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership during the first virtual summit held on 4th of June 2020. Bureau Report, DD India.
Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles and Australian Minister for Foreign Affairs Penny Wong laid a wreath at the National War Memorial as well ahead of the 2+2 meeting in India's New Delhi. Let's now get you more on this from New Delhi with DD India's Amritpal Singh. Hi Amrit, hope all's well with you. Now the dust is still settling on the India-Australia Cricket World Cup trophy clash last night, and now the business end of our comprehensive strategic partnership is set to get underway. Now what is the agenda looking like for the 2+2? How are the engagements over today and tomorrow going to flow?
Today the 2+2 dialogue takes place, Gautam, and then the two defense ministers hold a separate dialogue. Tomorrow the foreign ministers meet. They hold the foreign ministers framework dialogue. Today, what will primarily happen is that they will discuss the entire gamut of relationship. India and Australia have a comprehensive strategic partnership, and a comprehensive strategic partnership has all components: defense, trade ties, investment, convergences on foreign policy. So they'll, review the entire gamut of relationship. But this meeting comes at a very important time because it comes ahead of the proposed Quad meeting that's scheduled to be held, slated to be held in Delhi in January this year. So they would want to work out the contours of that meeting, the agenda of that meeting, discuss that because the two relevant ministers, defense and foreign ministers, are meeting personally over 2 days. There is this the CECA, or the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, which many rounds, I think 12 rounds, have taken place already of negotiations. Negotiations are at advanced stage. So some stock taking will be taken on that, because both sides would be keen to give a push to that, so that when Prime Minister Albanese comes calling on New Delhi in January, the two principals, if understanding is achieved by then, could sign it, and that could come into effect, because it will accrue economic benefits for both countries and could give a significant leg up or push to their trade ties, their investments in each other's countries. Thirdly, the cooperation in other sectors like space, agriculture, mobility of skilled persons, defense co-production. In the defense, particularly in the defense dialogue, the two sides would look at how to scale up their military exchanges, which are already in a robust form. We just concluded the Malabar exercises some time back. The first ever Indian submarine docked in Australia, at the port of Australia. Your Air Force planes, naval planes, Dorniers were there for joint exercises, etc. So how to expand the scope of it, keeping in focus of course, the bilateral relationship of defense, but also the security of the Indo-Pacific. So I think this whole gamut of relationship will come up for discussion over today and tomorrow, Gautam.
Okay. Well, India and Australia already have an ECTA that was signed in April 2022. So I'm sure if the CECA is worked out, it will be a major step up. Now, apart from the global geopolitical challenges from the Russia-Ukraine plus Israel-Hamas conflicts, along with economic challenges, what are the other issues that the Quad partners, as you mentioned, the Quad meetings coming up as well, are likely to take up?
As I said, in the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, foreign policy is the cornerstone of the strategic partnership. So they would want to coordinate, exchange views on, how they can build on convergences and narrow the divergences when it comes to, securing the Indo-Pacific. So Quad, in that context, is a very important meeting. There are two dimensions to Quad. One is a security aspect of Quad, securing the theater of Indo-Pacific, given the unilateral domination certain players in the region are, or a single player in the region wants to assert there, and how these countries can coordinate to ward that off, even while they look at increasing their developmental initiatives for the region, because it's a very important region, not just from the point of view of geopolitics or geostrategic point of view, but also from a trade point of view. Very important trade lanes pass through it, sea lanes pass through it. So they would be working and exchanging notes on this context. And very quickly, of course, the Israel-Hamas conflict would come up for discussions when the two sides meet over today and tomorrow.
There are other issues as well, apart from where, these issues where India and Australia can have a lot of cooperation when it comes to critical minerals, AI governance, how that should be done. They both have very strong views on that, and many others, including the Indo-Pacific region, and Australia is having specific problems with China these days. One of their divers were injured last month as well in an incident, so all that might also come up for discussion. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Amritpal Singh. Now, Indian Minister V. Muralidharan will be visiting Tanzania and Kenya from the 20th of this month, which is today, and the 23rd. A 30-member business delegation from India will be accompanying Minister of State for the visit. The visit is aimed at strengthening India's strong bilateral relations with these two countries. In Tanzania, the minister will call on President Hussein Ali Mwinyi and also hold discussions with other ministers. And then he'll visit overseas campus of IIT Madras. Muralidharan will thereafter visit Kenya from the 22nd to the 23rd of this month, where he'll meet functionaries of government and inaugurate an exhibition on the role of the Indian soldiers in East Africa during the First World War. Back home, the 54th edition of the International Film Festival of India will kickstart on 20th of November, which is today, in the coastal state of Goa. Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Singh Thakur, will inaugurate the film festival. Stuart Gatt's Catching Dust will be the opening film of the festival.
The coastal state of Goa is all decked up to celebrate the 54th edition of International Film Festival of India. We are here at the Miramar Circle, and you can see the decoration, the grandeur, by understanding that cinema is everywhere. This year, the 54th edition will have 198 films in the international section, which is 18 more than the 53rd edition. It will also have 13 world premieres, 18 international premieres, 62 Asia premieres and 89 India premieres. So we can understand how grand this film festival has become, and by the grandness, when we talk about that, it also means it's become more accessible. So last year we did see that cinema was made for the visually impaired, and this year we are understanding that cinema is also now made accessible for the hard of hearing. So this and much more would be up for grabs for the next 9 days. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Panji, Goa.
And India's I&B Minister Anurag Singh Thakur has arrived in Goa to attend the opening ceremony of the 54th International Film Festival of India. Now let's get you more on this annual blockbuster event showcasing India's film industry with DD India's Shama Mishra joining us live from Panjim in Goa. Hi Shama, hope all's in place now for a grand iffy opening this time around as well as always. Have all the key stars and other invitees landed in Goa for the inaugural film screening and the opening ceremony?
Yes, Gautam, we understand that it's a grand film festival, and every year, each year, it becomes even more grander and better. So we are understanding that the rehearsals of the gala opening has already been on, and like you've mentioned, or you've asked that the stars have landed here. So yes, the stars have landed here, and we are waiting for the opening of the film festival. And here at the red carpet where we are right now, this is ESG, Entertainment Society of Goa, and here we will witness sometime later the red carpet opening film of Stuart Gatt's, which is the Catching Dust, and we are understanding their cast and crew would be here along with our I&B Minister Anurag Singh Thakur. We are also understanding the MOS, Dr. Murugan, is already here. So we are waiting just for that when that thing begins. After that, we understand that in the evening, the gala premiere, the gala beginning of the film festival will take place, and like we mentioned, this is about Indian cinema, this is about world cinema. So performances would also be vibrant, and performances has been taken care that there'll be songs, there'll be dances, there'll be performances from many states. So there'll be there'll be a song from Gujarat, Punjab, Telugu, all these different languages, performances and dances would take place. Apart from that, Madhuri Dixit would be performing, there'll be Shahid Kapoor, Nusrat Bharucha, there'll be Pankaj Tripathi, Karan Johar, Sara Ali Khan, and many more are expected to be here for the gala opening. So 9 days of festivities, and it will begin today from the opening of the opening film. And we also understand that once this opens, we'll get to interact with more cine lovers, with more makers, directors of not just Indian film, but also the international ones. Back to you, Gautam.
Sounds great. Now, tell us more about IFFI this time around. What's the lineup like for the next 9 days? What will really stand out where both the Indian and international film industries are concerned?
So this time around, as we just started our live with saying that each year it gets bigger and better. So this year, the maximum entries was received. Around 2,926 movie entries were received. And this time around also, the screening of the movies are the maximum. This is 270 we are talking about. And there has been an increment, there has been an addition of the location for where the Goans or the people who have come across from different states and different countries to watch the movies. One more location has been added, Kala Academy, which was not there since 2 years. That is also in for this time around. So there are 4 locations where 270 movies would be showcased. Apart from that, we are also understanding there will be several galas, several premieres of various films. And we are not just talking about Indian films, Indian web series, but we are also talking about the Asian ones, international ones. So all these things are up for grabs, and we can understand the 9 days starting today will be all colorful, will be all delightful for all entertainment lovers.
All right, we all look forward to it. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Shama Mishra. Well, this year, IFFI received a record number of 2,926 entries from 105 countries, which is 3 times more than international submissions than last year. There will be over 20 master classes in conversation sessions with eminent filmmakers, cinematographers and actors. Let's hear in to what IFFI Festival Director has to say about the entire 9 days of Razzmatazz.
The people who come here and participate in the festival, they get to see more and more films, and apart from that, the quality of films should be the best from around the world. And we have been really successful this year because we opened our entries way back in February, and we were able to receive more than 3,000 films this year as part of entries to the festival, from which we have selected about 182 foreign films, which is a big number, and I'm sure that about 100 countries are covered. We had some accessible cinema last year, but this year for people hard of hearing, we have Indian Sign Language picture-in-picture cinema. 2 pictures we have done, 2 films we have converted for that, and that will be shown here. And so it will be truly accessible. You can see all the places have ramps, and physically everybody is accessible. Everybody has accessible to the cinemas.
And still to come up on DD India News Hour, India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurates the World Heritage Week celebrations of the Archaeological Survey of India in Madurai. India celebrates 8 years of Uday, or the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana scheme, which aims to reduce the cost of electricity throughout the country. And a massive fire engulfs at least 25 boats in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh at Visakhapatnam.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, as 41 workers are still trapped inside the partially collapsed Silkyara tunnel in the Indian northern state of Uttarakhand, the government has laid a new 6-inch pipeline for around 40 meters in order to better deliver food and water to the trapped workers. The government has also announced to take up a 5-option action plan for their safe evacuation. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been constantly monitoring the evacuation, the rescue work. He also called Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhami, to take stock of the situation. Prime Minister Modi has assured the availability of the necessary rescue equipment by the central government. This is the third time the PM has taken information about the situation from the Chief Minister. Prime Minister's office team from there has also inspected the spot and is continuously monitoring the situation and undertaking coordination work to rescue the workers safely. An International Tunneling and Underground Space Association President, Professor Arnold Dix, has arrived at the Silkyara Tunnel as the operation to rescue the trapped workers has been underway. He also offered prayers at a temple that is built at the main entrance of the tunnel.
That's why we've come here with all of the experts. I've got the best experts for this Himalayan geology here with me. I'm just one, and we're going back to the office to talk about what we've seen, and we need to compare what we've seen here above the tunnel with what we know is happening in the tunnel. And this actually helps us make the proper decision, because we are rescuing those 41 men, and we are not letting anyone get hurt while they're doing it. But to do that, we must be very careful.
All right, let's get you a quick assessment of how things are going. Information about the latest there with my DD News colleague OP Yadav joining us on the phone line from Uttarkashi. OP, good afternoon. I hope everything is okay there. The workers are fine. What can you tell us in terms of the latest efforts that are being made to get them out, and what are the estimates about by when can we expect them out? It's been since Diwali that they've been trapped in there.
जी, ये दीपावली को सुबह 5:30 बजे देवभूमि उत्तराखंड के उत्तरकाशी जिले के सिलकारा टनल पर बीते 4.5 साल से निर्माणाधीन टनल में काम चल रहा था, और इस काम में तकरीबन 70% काम पूरा होने के बाद मात्र 400 मीटर की ये टनल बची थी। उसी दौरान भोर सुबह 5 बजे के आसपास मलबा ढहने से 41 मजदूर इसमें फंस गए थे। उसके बाद बचाव और राहत कार्यों के लिए लगातार कार्य जारी था। केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार के समन्वित प्रयासों से इसमें एक कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी बनाएगी, और इसमें जो मशीनें जरूरत पड़ी, देश और विदेश से एक्सपर्ट्स को बुलाया गया। सबसे पहले इसमें 13 तारीख को देहरादून से एक ड्रिलिंग मशीन मंगवाई गई, लेकिन जब मशीन ने काम करना बंद कर दिया तो 15 तारीख को अमेरिकन ओगर मशीन विशेष हरकुलस विमान वायुसेना के द्वारा इसको यहाँ एयरलिफ्ट किया गया। उस मशीन ने जब काम करना शुरू किया तो तकरीबन 22 मीटर तक इस मशीन ने ड्रिलिंग कर ली थी मलबे की, लेकिन उसके बाद इसमें कुछ हार्ड रॉक स्टोन आने की वजह से काम करना थोड़ा बंद कर दी। तो उसके बाद फिर इसको रोक दिया गया, और उस पर कई तरह की अलग से कमेटी बनाकर मल्टी एंगल वर्क करने की एक कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी बनाएगी, जिसमें डिसाइड किया गया कि 6 अलग-अलग बिंदुओं को लेकर हमें काम करना है। और उसी के संदर्भ में इंदौर से एक अलग से फिर ड्रिलिंग मशीन मंगाई गई, और फिर कल केंद्रीय मंत्री इसमें नितिन गडकरी पहुंचे और राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री पहुंचे। इसके अलावा इससे पहले जो केंद्रीय सड़क परिवहन और राष्ट्रीय राजमार्ग सचिव अनुराग जैन भी यहाँ आए और समीक्षा बैठक की, और उन्होंने जो भी टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट्स हैं उनको निर्देश दिए कि जल्दी से जल्दी जो लेबर इसमें फंसे हुए उनको सकुशल निकाला जाए और एक बेहतर तरीके से मैकेनिज्म बनाकर इस काम को अंजाम दिया जाए। और उसी के तहत 6 अलग अलग बिंदु बनाए गए, जिनमें जो सिलकारा टनल है इसके पॉइंट पर जो नवयुगा एक कंपनी है जो कार्य कर रही है उसको ड्रिलिंग का कार्य सौंपा गया। वहीं दूसरी ओर इसका इनिशियल पॉइंट है बारकोट साइड, वहां पर एक जो टिहरी डैम बैंड की जो कमेटी है उसमें जो इंजीनियर है टिहरी डैम के, वो एक साइड टनल बनाने का काम कर रहे हैं। पैरेलली 2 जगह पर हॉरिजॉन्टल वर्क चल रहा है। साथ ही साथ इसके अलावा जो सतलुज विद्युत निगम है उसको इस पहाड़ के ऊपर अलग से ड्रिलिंग करने के लिए 4 पॉइंट बनाएंगे, जिनमें 2 पॉइंट सेलेक्ट किए गए और वहीं से ड्रिलिंग का काम चालू होगा। हालांकि इसके लिए अभी मशीनें आई नहीं है, मशीनें मंगवाने का काम लगातार जारी है। और इस पहाड़ पर रास्ता बनाने के लिए बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को जिम्मेदारी दी गई है, जो तकरीबन 400 मीटर का रास्ता इन्होंने बना लिया और 1 किलोमीटर तक इनको पूरा बनाना है, जिसमें 400 मीटर अभी बाकी रास्ता बचा हुआ है। और दूसरी जो कमेटी है इनमें जो ONGC है उसको भी जिम्मेदारी दी गई है, जो बाएं और दाएं अलग अलग जगह से छोटे सेमी टर्मिनल बना रही है, जिससे कि रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को पूरा किया जा सके। और जो मजदूरों को निकालने के लिए किसी एक टनल में या एक रास्ते पे विकल्प पे अगर दिक्कत है तो दूसरा विकल्प अच्छे से काम करे, इसी को लेकर ये 6 अलग अलग बिंदुओं पर काम किया जा रहा है और इसको जल्दी से अंजाम तक पहुंचे इसके लिए खुद प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय लगातार इस पर मॉनिटरिंग किया जा रहा है। और 3 दिन पहले ही प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय के मंगेश जी जो डिप्टी सेक्रेटरी है वो यहाँ आए और पूर्व सलाहकार भास्कर खुल्ले भी यहाँ आ चुके हैं। तो उन्होंने अलग से अपना जो एक्सपर्टीज है, क्योंकि पहाड़ के रहने वाले तो उनको बहुत सारी भौगोलिक परिस्थितियों का आकलन है, तो वो अधिकारियों के साथ सीधा संवाद करो, इस काम को बेहतर तरीके से कैसे अंजाम दिया जाए, इसके लिए अपनी पूरी रणनीति बना रहे हैं। इसके साथ साथ जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया, नॉर्वे और कनाडा से भी बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट यहाँ आए हुए हैं, जो अपनी अपनी एक्सपर्टीज यहाँ दिखा रहे हैं। और जिस तरह से इस टनल में सबसे बड़ी समस्या आ रही है, क्योंकि जो हिमालयन पहाड़ हैं उनको जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर पर्वतों की श्रृंखलाओं में हम देखते हैं तो बहुत ही नए और युवा पहाड़ और संवेदनशील पहाड़ माने जाते हैं, इसलिए यहाँ काम करना बहुत ही संवेदनशील तरीके से कठिन होता है। यही वजह है कि जब ये ड्रिलिंग करते हैं तो ये मशीन 1570 हॉर्स पावर की, तो कंपन शुरू हो जाता है।
Right, understood, OP. It is a very tough task, and multiple challenges have been coming up. Now, multi-pronged strategy has been evolved. A five-fold strategy, drilling at various points, vertically, horizontally, on the sides, is going to be undertaken. Road is also being conducted, especially for the purpose to access the site where the drilling is to be carried out. A lot of that work has been completed, but there's more to go on. So it seems that we will have another couple of days before we get any clear sight on what is going to be the fate of these 41 workers. I believe you said that the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister himself is tracking everything very closely. We mentioned that he's spoken to the Chief Minister already thrice on these rescue operations, offering all kinds of possible help. There are various experts who've come from international as well as national institutions. Even the DRDO, I believe, is now being involved, apart from all the other rescuing efforts that have already been put in, including the Indian Air Force's plane to get that auger machine in. But let's hope that all these efforts come to the right result and a fruitful result. The nation is praying for the good health and safety of these workers. Thanks for joining us for the time being. Now, a massive fire also engulfed at least 25 boats in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh in Visakhapatnam. The fire that started with the first boat eventually spread to multiple boats, which led to severe damage to the entire area. All multiple vessels parked over there, docked over there rather. Soon the blaze was brought under control. Authorities have reported that the vessels caught fire, but luckily other boatsmen came and de-anchored that boat and let it out into the sea. Investigations are underway into what led to the blaze.
One of the ships actually caught fire. Luckily, the other boatsmen, they came and cut it off, de-anchored it, and then let it off into the sea. Towards the end, the Navy ship Sahara also came and they assisted us, and because of them, we could get the fire under control. That is what is the incident about, and there is no loss of life at the outset, and then only about 25 to 30 ships have got gutted, and we are investigating the cause of the incident further.
Myanmar soldiers who fled into the Indian state of Mizoram in the northeast of the country after intense gunfights with the militia group People's Defence Force have been repatriated to their country. Listen in.
Last week, there was a major fight between the rebel forces and the military junta in Myanmar. Because of the fight, a large number of villagers of the Khomoi village next to Zokathar have crossed over into India temporarily. Around 75 Myanmarese army personnel had entered into Mizoram. We have rescued them and also handed over them to our border guarding force of Assam Rifle, and they have been taken back into Myanmar. Regarding the refugees, most of them have returned who have come last week. Some of them are still there because of some the lurking fear in their villages, but situation is much better now.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. A CCTV footage released by the Israeli army purportedly shows Hamas terrorists herding hostages into the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza on the day of the 7th of October attacks. Tens of thousands of Afghan refugees forced to return to the Taliban-ruled country by Pakistan face the challenge of a harsh winter in dire conditions. And Houthi rebels claim to have seized an Israeli cargo ship in the southern Red Sea.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Before we go any further, another look at our top stories. India and Australia hold second India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue and the 14th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue in New Delhi to further strengthen their comprehensive strategic partnership. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Uttarakhand Chief Minister about the tunnel rescue operations, assures the availability of all resources to rescue the 41 trapped workers. And the International Film Festival of India is all set to roll out in Goa today with a star-studded lineup for the inaugural film screening, followed by the red carpet and opening ceremony. Let's now take you back to our top story, which is about the India-Australia 2+2 dialogue. It's the second one. India and Australia have a comprehensive strategic partnership. They also have an ECTA, and we're hoping to hear at the end of this dialogue. It's taking place today, the 2+2. Then the defense ministers meeting is happening, and the foreign ministers also meeting tomorrow. And after all that, we're hoping to hear that the ties will be further upgraded. We have Gauri. In fact, we will take you to our guest as and when we have her with us. But for the moment, let's move on. Well, India is celebrating 8 years of the UDAY, or the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana scheme, which aims at reducing the debt of discoms in India and also reducing the cost of electricity throughout the country. Here's a report by DD India's Dibendu Mondal.
Over the last 8 years, the UDAY, or the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, launched by the Ministry of Power, has been able to turn around several debt-ridden power distribution companies across the country. The state power distribution companies have reported significant improvement in the reduction of losses and improvement in the cost of power distribution. The financial data shows that the state discoms reported a reduction in aggregate technical and commercial losses by 3%. Not just this, it has also reported the reduction of average cost of supply and average revenue realized gap from rupees 0.48 per kilowatt to rupees 0.30 per kilowatt in the financial year of 2020.
Electrified every village, we electrified every hamlet, we connected every home. We connected 29 million homes in 19 months. And the International Energy Agency called it the largest and the fastest expansion of access ever in the world in the history of the power sector. That's what we did. We connected the whole country. We converted our country from power deficit to power surplus.
The scheme, UDAY, was launched in November 2015 for operational and financial turnaround of state-owned power distribution companies, or the DISCOMs. The scheme aims to reduce the interest burden, reduce the cost of power, reduce power losses in distribution sector, and improve operational efficiencies of the DISCOMs. The scheme has now covered almost all the states and union territories of India, which incentivizes the states by exempting state takeover of DISCOM debts. The scheme also aims to provide increased supply of domestic coal, coal linkage rationalization, liberally allowing coal swaps, allocation of coal linkages to states at notified prices, and an additional or priority funding.
पिछले 8 वर्षों में देश में लगभग 1,70,000 मेगावाट बिजली उत्पादन की क्षमता जोड़ी गई है। वन नेशन, वन पावर ग्रिड आज देश की ताकत बन चुका है। पूरे देश को जोड़ने के लिए लगभग 1,70,000 सर्किट किलोमीटर ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस बिछाई गई हैं।
The scheme has an outlay of over rupees 3,000 crore, which will reform and change the face of electricity distribution and discoms in the country over the next few years. Dibyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
All right, now we'll take you back to our top story, which is about the India-Australia 2+2 dialogue, the second edition of it. That's supposed to be starting in just about any time now, really. And let's talk about the prospects of India-Australia ties. In that context, we have Gauri Dwivedi joining us, Senior Editor, Economic Times. Good afternoon to you, Gauri. What do you make of the prospects of how much further can India-Australia ties be taken forward through this 2+2 dialogue, the second edition of it that is taking place today?
Good afternoon, Gautam, and thank you very much for having me in your show. I believe there is a lot of scope and potential for the India-Australia relationship to prosper from where it is right now. And I think the 2+2, you take trade or whether you take defense ties, on all fronts, there is a lot of scope for the two sides to really build on the momentum that they have. Specifically, if one were to mention, then defense is one area where there is already a growing convergence in terms of the interests as well as the threats that both countries face within the Indo-Pacific, specifically in the maritime domain. So I believe cooperation is already happening. The Malabar exercise being hosted by Australia is a great example of how what started as an India-US exercise about 3 decades ago is now becoming almost a quad naval exercise, with Australia also now shouldering the burden as much. Second is education, I believe, is another very important facet of the relationship. Education sector, we all know how popular Australian universities are for Indian students. But beyond that, the NEP that India came up with, Australia was the first country to take advantage of the new education policy. They're the first university in near Ahmedabad, and they're also now catering to the new education policy that India has announced. The other aspect is supply chains. Now, bolstering and making supply chains more resilient is another common cause of both Australia and India, and they both saw this most importantly during the pandemic, and were at the receiving end, so to say, approach to them. So critical technologies, critical elements, particularly lithium, I believe are some aspects of the supply chain where both India and Australia have common cause and would probably want to make it stronger over the next couple of years.
Well, certainly, and of course, even cooperation on initiatives like the Solar Alliance, as well as the CDRI, something that India and Australia have very keenly pursued, and there's been progress on that as well. But there's a lot of interest in what sort of progress will be made where a comprehensive economic partnership or a trade agreement is concerned. We already have an ECTA. What distinction do you think our trade ties could get with a comprehensive partnership in this sphere? All right, we seem to be having some trouble with that link with Gauri. We will try and reconnect if that is possible, but for the moment we'll move on. Australia's Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles has tried his hand at cricket in Delhi's Arun Jaitley Stadium on Monday. Marles hailed India for hosting the ICC Cricket World Cup. He also praised India's efforts in promoting of cricket and sports.
India has hosted the most fantastic tournament. And today India is the home of world cricket. And here to Delhi, home of the Delhi Capitals, team coached by Ricky Ponting, David Warner as the captain, Meg Lanning playing in the women's team. It is such an honour for me as the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, but much more importantly as an absolutely avid cricket fan to be here. It's such a thrill as the last 24 hours have been. And we just, from an Australian point of view, we cannot thank India enough.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurates the World Heritage Week celebrations of the Archaeological Survey of India in Tamil Nadu's Madurai on Monday. The week-long exhibition is showcasing the history, architecture, iconography and inscriptions of the major rock cutout temples in South Tamil Nadu. The major attraction on display is the historic architecture of India, showcasing the legacy of Indian culture. In India's Jammu and Kashmir, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra outreach is being observed in the local governments of hilly remote areas in Rajouri district. The Yatra aims to reach out to people, create awareness and provide benefits of welfare schemes to people. Many achievements of the Indian government have been displayed on LED walls through designs. Publicity calendars and flyers are also being distributed among masses at both places and being handed over for distribution among local residents at both places as well. A Viksit Bharat Sankalp pledge has also been administered at the venue.
ये जो वैन चलाई जा रही है ये पीर पंजाल के पहाड़ों में ये पिछड़ा इलाका माना जाता है। यहाँ पे अवेयरनेस दी जा रही है कि लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा स्कीमों का लाभ उठाएं और जैसा कि इस संकल्प यात्रा का ये एक संकल्प है कि सभी जितनी भी स्कीम्स हैं उनको हमने सैचुरेशन तक लेके जाना है। तो अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट्स के लोग साथ साथ रजिस्ट्रेशन कर रहे हैं जो अभी तक लोगों तक लाभ नहीं पहुंचा है ताकि वो भी इसका लाभ ले सकें।
India is gearing up to celebrate its Constitution Day on the 26th of this month to commemorate the adoption of the Constitution of the country. India's Parliamentary Affairs Ministry has invited citizens to participate in the Constitution quiz and online reading of the preamble. The ministry has also made 2 web portals operational to ensure maximum public participation. India's Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said American tech giant Apple will boost iPhone manufacturing in India. According to reports, Apple is aiming to increase its iPhones production to about $12 billion in India by March 2024. The move comes as Apple steps up efforts to meet festive demand in the US and the West. Around 70% of iPhones produced in India are exported. The company has exported iPhones worth 5 billion rupees from India between April and October this year. Let's now take a look at some other updates from around the world. Around the country, rather. Indian President Draupadi Murmu has inaugurated the 36th annual conference in literary festival of All India Santali Writers Association in Baripada in the Indian city, Odisha. While addressing the literary festival, the Indian President emphasized how Indian literature plays an impactful role in shaping society. The 4-day festival of Chhath Puja comes to an end after devotees offered prayers to the rising sun, followed by breaking the 2-day-long fast. Devotees across the country performed Chhath Puja on the banks of various rivers and ponds, including the Ganges as well as the Yamuna. Hundreds of people of Indian origin from New Jersey and New York flocked to waterfronts in the United States as they celebrated the auspicious festival of Chhath on Sunday. The festival was celebrated by members of the Indian community who gathered on both Saturday and Sunday for the festivities. And in the national capital of India, New Delhi, schools reopened from Monday after a small winter break as the air quality improved from the severe category. Authorities claim that the air quality index is not likely to degrade any further. Afghan refugees from Pakistan face a challenge as an extreme winter is setting in. Thousands of Afghan citizens Pakistan has expelled are facing extremely harsh conditions. Tens of thousands of ethnic Afghans have moved back to the Taliban-ruled state after Pakistan announced that it is expelling undocumented migrants from the state. Many of those who moved have lived in Pakistan their entire lives. This has left the migrants with nothing in Afghanistan.
the winter is approaching and the weather and the temperature is declining each day. So this is a big concern for the people arriving in here. They need for the immediate shelter because most of them have nowhere safe to go, and this means a serious risk, especially for the women and children, because now they are living under tents under the open skies.
Argentina celebrated the victory of Libertarian Javier Milei as their new president, winning with nearly 56% votes as against his rival Sergio Massa, who scored 44% of the total votes. Milei has been handed over an economy battered by triple-digit inflation, looming recession and rising poverty. His election is going to reshape the political and economic roadmap of the country. It could impact trade in grains, lithium and hydrocarbons, as he's opposed to communist nations while favoring strong ties with the US. Citizens expressed happiness over Milei's win, hoping that he will bring in a turnaround in the country's economic situation. They were enthusiastic about the results, saying they voted Milei for a change.
Empezamos a dar vuelta a la página de nuestra historia.
This model of decadence has come to an end. There is no turning back. The results of this model are plain for all to see. From being the richest country in the world, today we are ranked 130. Half of Argentines are poor and the other 10% are destitute. Stop this impoverishing model of this caste. Today we embrace the libertarian model so as to return to being a global power.
Y las víctimas, los victimarios.
With the surprising win of Javier Milei in Argentina's general elections held on Sunday, reactions poured in from around the globe. Leaders from various nations took to social media to extend greetings to Milei on his victory. Presidents of Chile, Colombia, Brazil and Uruguay took to social media site X to congratulate the leader. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan congratulated Javier Milei on being elected president, adding that the US looks forward to building on a strong relationship based on human rights, democratic values and transparency. While former Brazilian President and former US President Donald Trump also extended greetings on Milei's success. And still to come on DD India News are: Novak Djokovic blows away home favourite Jannik Sinner in straight sets to win the ATP Finals title for a record 7th time. A river cruise the morning after a stunning upset of home favourites India for Australian skipper Pat Cummins, along with his triumphant teammates. And thousands of marathoners from 47 countries traverse iconic landmarks in Havana's annual Marabana race.
Welcome to Lakshadweep, the land of 100,000 islands, the aquatic wonderland of India, an archipelago of spectacular marine gems, colorful coral and crystal clear lagoons, a kaleidoscope of turquoise blue. Each island of Lakshadweep draws in explorers with its unique beauty.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Let's get an update on the Israel-Hamas conflict. The Israeli army on Sunday released a video showing security camera footage of what they say were the Hamas terrorists bringing in hostages from Israel into the Shifa hospital on the day of the 7th of October attacks. The video, aired by Israel's chief spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, appeared to show 2 hostages being brought into the Al-Shifa hospital. Armed men can be seen in the CCTV footage, which is date-stamped the 7th of October. One of the hostages appears to be resisting. The other is shown on a stretcher.
The world must remember, Hamas is holding the elderly, men, women, children, babies, hostage. The Israel Defense Forces has a moral obligation to bring every one of our hostages home. We will not rest until we do. Hamas was hiding and murdering our hostages in Shifa Hospital. Hamas was building terror tunnels underneath Shifa Hospital. By now, the truth is clear. Hamas wages war from hospitals, wages terror from hospitals.
Meanwhile, Houthi rebels have claimed to have seized an Israeli cargo ship in the southern Red Sea on Sunday. Israel, however, denies ownership of the vessel and said there are no Israelis among its crew. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said on Sunday that the vessel was operated by a Japanese company which leased it from a British company. Earlier, the Israeli Defense Forces said in a statement that the Houthis took control of the cargo ship near Yemen in the southern Red Sea, adding that the vessel was heading from Turkey to India. IDF warned that the hijacking was a very grave incident of global consequence. The IDF has deployed additional ships in the Red Sea to deal with threats from Houthi rebels. Now let's get you another set of updates from around the world. Sam Altman, the ousted CEO of ChatGPT creator OpenAI, reportedly will not return to the company he co-founded despite the executive's efforts to bring him back. Emmett Shear, co-founder of video streaming site Twitch, will take over as interim CEO. This has been attributed to a publication called The Information. Russian nationalist Igor Girkin, who is in custody awaiting trial for inciting extremism, said he wanted to run for president. He, however, said that he understood the March election would be a sham, with the winner already clear. Colorful hot air balloons as part of the 21st International Hot Air Balloon Festival filled clear blue skies in central Mexico on Sunday, where participants from over 20 different countries attended the festival. 200 hot air balloons filled the sky, with some balloons taking on unique forms such as unicorns, dinosaurs, elephants and popular characters such as SpongeBob. And it's now time to get you some sporting updates as well. But Australia got the better of India in the title clash to lift the Cricket World Cup for the record 6th time. Australian batter Travis Head notched up a magnificent century to get his side over the line. More in this report.
Australia has halted India's juggernaut in the summit clash to clinch the Cricket World Cup trophy for the record 6th time. Australian opener Travis Head slammed a magnificent ton to guide his team to victory against men in blue, who posted a modest total of 240 runs. The import of Head's century can be gauged from the fact that Aussies had slumped to 47 for 3 in 7 overs into the chase. He combined in a grandstand of 192 with Manas Labuschagne to dominate the contest. The Australia's triumphs in the World Cup finals began in 1987 when they trounced England. Australia's domination of world cricket began as they clinched the trophy in 1999, 2003 and 2007. In 2015, they again lifted the holy grail of cricket. In 2023, they were conferred with the highest honours in the sport. Head smashed a superb 137 of 120 balls to ease Australian nerves and keep the Indian bowlers at bay. Manas Labuschagne remained unbeaten on 58. Mohammad Sami spearheaded the Indian charge with the new ball. He removed David Warner early, while on the other hand, Jasprit Bumrah dismissed Mitchell Marsh and Steven Smith. Head along with Labuschagne began to rebuild the Australian innings with a mixture of defence and attack as Indian spinners failed to get perches on a slow surface. Earlier, Australian skipper Pat Cummins led by an example. He took the bold decision to field after winning the toss. Indian captain Rohit Sharma began his innings on a flamboyant note. Head took a stunning catch to end Rohit's blistering knock of 47. India had reached 76 runs in less than 10 overs, but a few quick wickets pegged the hosts back. A dominating half-century by Virat Kohli and a laboured 66 by KL Rahul ensured India were not bowled out for a much lower score. Head etched his name in the history books for playing decisive role in the semi-final and final of a World Cup. He joined the elite club of Mohinder Amarnath, Arvind De Silva and Shane Warne. Many would argue, and not without reasons, that Australia was not the best team in the tournament, but there is no debate that it was Head's night. Sports Desk, DD India.
Meanwhile, in a tweet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote, "Dear Team India, your talent and determination through the World Cup was noteworthy. You've played with great spirit and brought immense pride to the nation. We stand with you today and always." And some members of the Australian cricket team, including skipper Pat Cummins, went on a cruise in Sabarmati River in India's western city of Ahmedabad after winning the Cricket World Cup. Australia beat India by 6 wickets in the summit clash on Sunday. A ruthless Novak Djokovic trounced home favourite Jannik Sinner in straight sets to win the ATP Finals title for a record 7th time. Earlier in the week, Djokovic had lost to Sinner in the group stage, but he avenged his defeat with a sublime display to claim a 6-3, 6-3 victory. The world number 1 dropped only 2 points on serve in a flawless opening set, and once he had broken Sinner's serve in the 4th game, it was largely one-way traffic. His win concluded a year in which he won 3 of the 4 Grand Slam titles and seized back the world number 1 spot from Carlos Alcaraz. And in Havana's annual Marabana race, thousands of marathoners from 47 countries traversed iconic landmarks. The 37th edition featured 10, 21 and a 42-kilometer race as well, attracting a diverse international participation contingent. The event, dedicated to the centenary of the Cuban revolutionary leader Jose Ramon Fernandez and honoring the bond between Cuba and Mexico, this year's Marabana celebrated unity and expressed gratitude for Mexico's unwavering solidarity. And that's it for now in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news and as it breaks right here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.